Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Sanctuary Podcast. My name is Stanley, and I'll be your host, and my co-host Robert. Say hello, Robert.
Hello.
Yeah, he will be your co-host. A little bit about myself. We're gonna introduce ourselves a little bit before we talk about what the podcast is going to be about. But yeah, I'm a college student. I'm going to school for film production technology. I like anime, I like video games, and I'm very interested in kind of bettering myself in terms of just being like, like thinking more and just being a better human being, period. And I find a great way of doing that is by talking. And I have like very nice and extensive conversations with my friends, and it's what actually made me start wanting to do the podcast. And this is where it kind of all led to, and that's kind of what will be the gist of it. We'll go more into details about that too, but yeah, that's kind of what the podcast will be about. And go ahead and introduce yourself too, Robert. What's cool
Uh,
about you?
my name's Robert. I've known Stan about 6, almost 7 years, just about.
Yeah, that's
But
hot.
Stan, playing games pretty much when I was a wee boy.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not really a huge gamer. I kind of just dabble within a lot of games. I typically are like decent. I never get super good at the game, and I never spend a lot of hours a game.
hmm
I typically just sit around, wait for my friends, and talk to them, and
hmm
that's about it. I guess the main thing I'm interested in is like music, shows, anything that kind of wastes my time.
Yep.
And it's my favorite subject or things that I'm interested in is biology.
Oh yeah.
And that's about it.
Huge biology person and really good at math. Or I'm just really bad. All right, moving on. So, what is the podcast going to be about? It's not like a specific podcast. I'm not going to say this is a League of Legends podcast or this is an entrepreneurship podcast or something like that. It's just one that, I find something interesting. For example, I want to talk about, like today, we're going to talk about motivation at some point, or we're going to talk about like maybe something that pertained like video games. Like when Ninja was first becoming really popular, this was an idea I really wanted to talk about Ninja on the podcast. I am interested in movies. I'm a film major, so I will talk about movies maybe that were really, really good, or just, new video games that I found was relative, like that helped me think differently in life or something like that. We will be talking about stuff like that. As far as what we won't be talking about, just, like nothing like no politics. Probably not gonna really dive deep into anything like anything that's really like too serious, if there is some like real world events happening that's like that calls for some attention, it's something that I'm very interested in talking about. I will talk about that. But besides that, yeah, nothing else really. And this is
Um,
exactly why I didn't
Little
want.
thing to add, this podcast typically just it think of it as just friends or just bros kind of just hanging out and talking, nothing much other than that.
Yeah,
It's more of like a way of spending your time, alternative to like music or like reading or something, just kind of something to listen to, maybe not something to like jump in on and like give your two piece on it.
mhm,
Just kind of just more of like a community thing, just hang out, set it
yeah,
up.
yeah. And also, if you are like a fan of the podcast, you kind of like what we're doing so far, there will be a link to the Discord down below. And there'll be a section where you can, put some things that you want us to talk about. You can directly talk to us too. And yeah, I kind of did want it to be a back and forth. When you're starting off these kinds of things, you can definitely interact with people a lot more. So I kind of do want to take advantage of that, and I hope you can take advantage of that too. Like, talking to me. Maybe you think something I said was interesting or whatever, or you have questions for me. I don't know. But this would be a good time to do that while the podcast is the way it is, and while it's very easy to, contact whatever.
Yep.
But yeah,
Uh, in the future, maybe we might do more like in-depth conversations, but right now, we're kind of just seeing where this ends up.
yeah,
More of just a fun thing for now.
yeah, for fun. We are for fun players, for fun gamers. Okay.
Um, let's talk about the name. Why did we call it the Sanctuary?
Yeah, I mean, the sanctuary is kind of like the safe spot, I suppose, like the safe haven. and like it's not supposed to be like a safe haven for like the audience, as weird as it sounds. It's kind of like my safe haven. It kind of originated from like just a channel that we had, just me and my friends, just me and my two closest, my two best friends, and we called it the Sanctuary. It was like just a spot where we can just talk about anything. It was just like, it was like a group chat, but not with your eight friends from high school and then, or not even eight friends. It's not even like with everyone from high school. It's like it's nothing like that. It's like a personal chat. And I figured like, okay, the podcast is it's going to be something like that where I can, instead of like moving it to keep it like very personal and private, I want to like have my ideas and stuff that I talk about. And I want the world to kind of know or the world to kind of hear and maybe gain from it from, getting input from other people and helping other people gain from it as well. And that's why I really call it the sanctuary. It's like the safe place, but it's like exposed to everywhere. It still is a spot for me to talk about whatever, however I'm feeling, whatever I'm interested in, whatever I think is fun, or whatever I think was like really cool or something like that. I can talk about it, and I'm just talking about it with my good friend Robert, like every episode, and I could talk about it with whoever guest that we put on as well. So that's kind of why we named it. That's definitely why we named it the
Yeah,
Sanctuary, and yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I feel like though a lot of the people say that, you need like an interesting name, like a name that's specific. I don't want people to come into the podcast thinking it's like some Christian place for some
yeah,
reason, or like Sean told me that when he looked at the picture, he was like, "Oh, this looks like a real estate show." I feel like you're only gonna think that though because he said
yeah,
that, but it's
yeah.
nothing like that. If you came in thinking it's a real estate show or a Christian-esque show, I mean, we're gonna keep it as PG as possible, right? But it's nothing
Uh,
that's like
maybe,
religious or anything like that.
maybe PG. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, maybe,
It gets
yeah,
pretty bad.
yeah.
Uh, Side note, Stan said the word Sean, or the name Sean rather,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's the third friend of the group, out of the sanctuary that we had, and also the closest. He's not here with it. He would have been on this episode, but he has terrible
Yeah,
internet
he's
as of
from
now.
Africa. That's what's happening, basically. Yeah, he's from Trinidad. Like he's going to law school there. Shout out to my boy Sean, doing it big. And yeah, he's kind of like he's in a house with some people, and the internet's really bad. Yeah, so if he's
Yeah,
not right
but
next to the router, it's terrible. So it's just not doable. But
yeah, but he will most likely be a very frequent guy on
yeah,
here, and he's definitely going to be one of the top people within the sanctuary.
yeah, you'll get used to
Yeah.
Sean. Okay, well, that's a good introduction, I feel like. Uh,
Yeah.
I kind of want to start like jumping into the topics. For now, we're just gonna, just dive into whichever one I think. I don't know. I feel like motivation is actually a good one to start off with. That's how I'm feeling right now. I don't know about you, but I do want to talk
Yeah,
about
especially in
motivation.
this current situation where it's
Yeah,
kind of just like see where this takes us.
yeah. So, okay. Um, the reason why I wanted to talk about motivation is I learned a few things. So, when I was about 17, um, so this was like 11th grade high school year, I realized that I really liked making stuff, like content in terms of like film. So I wanted to start a film club. I said the idea to my friends, and then the more and more they like started saying things back to me, the more excited I got about it. But it was too late in the year and we couldn't start it. We couldn't start our own club. The school literally wouldn't allow us to. So we had to wait until senior year, and we all did it. We started our film club, and it was great. We made some really, really great content together, and I didn't really have to think about motivation there because, like, once we made some really good stuff, the school kind of required us to do other things, and we kind of like had that push, I suppose, like that requirement. Like when you have like a requirement, you know what I mean? Like when you have like a homework assignment, imagine Robert, like you have to do like a project, right? And it's just like
The,
whatever project it is, you have to do it by the 15th, right? Eventually,
yeah,
even if you
the,
get started at the 14th, you'll eventually do it. Whereas like for things like, like with like film, like with me wanting to consecrate whatever, I have to do it on my own. There's no like assignment. There's no do this by the
yeah,
15th.
exactly.
I have to start getting into it on my own because all my friends who I did all the projects with, they all are no longer like here. They all moved to university to go here or there, we're all separated. So I had to like kind of find my own motivation and I did through writing. and I used to just write, and or I used to write like every day, and motivation kind of dwindled. But I never really knew how like it felt to like feel demotivated or like in that mood until now. Like it's been years, and I'm kind of like in that position where it's like, geez, like I wish that I had like the will to just get up every day and get motivated. And I started, watching some motivational videos, right? Like as everyone does, hopefully as you do. If you're lacking motivation, those definitely help. And a big thing that I learned is that you should actually keep doing it even if you are motivated. Because like as I was like feeling like all that fire burning to make me do this and do that, and I was like really, really productive and just doing things really well. I kind of let myself fall into like that pit, and then I like fell out of that motivation. So I guess my question to everyone and to Robert in itself is like, how do you get motivated, and like what do you do to kind of maintain that motivation if anything? Because I know like you're like an A student, right? Or you were an A student, whatever.
Well,
And
all right, I changed into an A student.
right, right. So what do you do to like maintain that focus, if you will, that motivation? Yeah.
um, I don't really know how to explain it.
Hmm.
I'm probably one of the worst procrastinators out of everybody that I know.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I typically do things last second,
Hmm.
but I typically do them because I know they're not hard, or at least I kind of just take a glance. I'm like, I could do that. Like, and then I kind of just forget about it until I'm
Hmm.
like, oh. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I would
That's me.
say freshman, sophomore year didn't have good grades. Never did my work really. Not because I thought it was too cool or anything, but it was rather the procrastination problem and a lack of like enthusiasm with doing my work.
Right.
Um, but junior, senior year, I completely turned around. Because I changed schools at that point,
Hmm.
and the new people that I was with and surrounded by are the only people that I knew at the time were full straight A students, and they would always nag at me
Hmm.
because are, I guess, they believe that I'm smarter than them and I
Hmm.
can do work really easily, so I can catch on easily. And I never do my homework, whereas they do not. I guess they don't necessarily have, um, I don't know, kind of that ability to just not study, and they study constantly. They like work extra hard, put extra time into their work, just to get that 4.0. Whereas I was kind of like whatever, and I'd
Right.
always be willing to help them. And so I guess talking to them and like constantly being around them, it kind of changed my mentality. And
Oh
so
yeah.
like it's like a huge appreciation of them to like kind of changing the way I'm thinking and the way I do stuff. And
Hmm.
also everything kind of hit when I was like, I have a future, you know, like
Yeah.
I need to have a foundation.
Right.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
my motivation is I don't necessarily know how I get motivated. It's if I have something, typically the only things I get motivated in are some things that I find really interesting. And the thing is that I just like to learn. So generally,
Oof.
I just like learning about everything. And there's not really motivation behind it rather than innate curiosity.
It's yeah. You just like
And
doing it, right? Like you can
yeah,
enjoy doing something, then you just do it, right?
yeah. And sometimes I will be like, okay, I have to do it. You know, like kind
Yeah.
of hits me. And how do I get motivated for that if I need to? Um, I basically just turn on music, sit down, essentially do nothing. I will sit there and kind of just sit in like in a puddle of my thoughts, kind of collect everything,
Just got your wank in your
organize what
hand.
I'm gonna do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, okay, now let's do it.
You know,
And
that's really
then I'll
interesting.
start.
That's interesting
And
because I'm sorry for cutting you off, but
no, it's fine.
I
You go.
I can't do that. Like I'm literally the polar opposite in terms of like when I sit down and I try to plan things, I'm gonna sit there and like it's like if all you had to do was like I don't know, paint a circle or something, and I'm trying to think how exactly am I gonna paint this circle, and I end up like drawing like just this retarded like complex image when all I had to do was just, it's like simplistic, just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I overthink it too much. If I ever gave myself like that opportunity to sit down and like try to plan something, like you said you sit down, you listen to music, you try to plan
Yeah.
out, and you do it. Like if I do that, it's just game over for me, dude. It is
Yeah.
game over.
I mean, it's kind of just like one of those things where I one of my own personality flaws is the fact that I completely overthink things. Because
Hmm.
I, as a person, I don't like maybes. I don't like uncertainty within
Right.
my life.
Hmm.
And I like if I think about something, I need to have the answer before I stop thinking about it. Or at least I need to have some degree of an answer, at
Right.
least an idea.
That's fair. Yeah.
And like, I will sit there and just be like, okay, what do I need to do? I need to do this.
Hmm.
Well, what's more immediate? What are my priorities? Well, this is a priority, but I know that's easy, so I can actually do that the next day.
Hmm.
Right? Whereas more difficult stuff, maybe I'll do first. Kind of depends on the situation. Um, Other than that, I guess I know that if I start working and I start thinking while I'm working, I become frustrated and I'll stop. There's no way you can get me to get back to it.
Right.
And that's why I give myself that extra time. Because
To,
if I start working and I'm like, I'm working right now and I have so much more to do, I will become overwhelmed.
yeah. Yeah.
And also I guess there's not a lot of times I'm in that situation, simply because I do most of my work in my class. And a lot of my teachers, thankfully, don't give additional work after the class.
Hmm.
So you kind of get all of your papers in the class, and that's good. Um, hmm, what else out of that? Uh, I'm not really sure. I think that's about it. How I get motivated,
Right.
and honestly, biggest thing that makes me even think about doing my work is just talking to friends. If I'm in the sanctuary and I'm just talking to Sean and Stan, and they're like, "I have work," I'm like, "God damn! Like, why did you say it, dude? Because now I'm gonna do it."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's like, and then typically I have a great friend Ashley. Uh, Huge appreciation for her. She always asks me for help on work, and when she does, that forces me to think about it. And at that point, I'm helping her with like questions. I'm just like, I'll do it. Like, there's no
Right.
point not doing it. I'm basically already doing it, and she kind of
Exactly.
forces me to end up doing it.
I mean, it's easier to do
And
stuff like in a group or with your friends. It just is.
yeah, exactly. I'm kind of that person where uh, let's say freshman sophomore year,
Hmm.
even junior senior year, I'll be in a class, and at first glance, like if a sub, like we have a sub that day,
Hmm.
they just by the way that I dress and my normal resting face, they
Hmm.
instantly assume I'm a troublemaker. And I surround myself by friends, typically. And I talk, but when I talk, it's because I know I'm done or they're done. And sometimes I talk when they're not, but typically it helps them in some way. And it's like, I don't know, they'll be like, hey, stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. And I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry, but like those people around me are what get me to do my work.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I was going to like church a lot, one of the things they spoke about was like if you're hanging around like, if you're hanging around like bad people, just simply put, you'll probably end up doing bad things. You might not be a bad
Yeah,
person yourself, but you'll end up doing bad things. Like if you're hanging around people who sell drugs, yeah, you might not sell drugs or whatever, but eventually something might happen that puts you in a situation
yeah.
where you are holding drugs for somebody or whatever it is.
And that might also go more into like independence, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure because I know personally, I hang out with two different kinds of people. I hang out with people that ditch classes.
Yeah.
I hang out with people that never do their work,
Hmm.
and I hang out with people that are straight A students and won't miss a day.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I can take something from both of those kinds of people. For my
For
friends that
sure.
always leave class and stuff like that, it's like, well, I know they need some image, not like that I'm on some moral high ground or anything, but like
Right,
I
right, yeah.
know that they need motivation, and I know that if I don't do my work, I can end up being in a situation where they're scrambling, and I know they eventually will. That's just the sad truth of how life works.
Yeah.
And like, because right now, I know a lot of my friends are like, they don't know what to do. They're just like, oh my god, like I have so much stuff to do, I don't know what the hell to do. And then they're trying to get all of their stuff up because they're so behind.
Yeah,
And for the like A
that's
students,
well, that's
they're
high
done.
school. That's
Yeah,
horrible, man. That's
they're
a
like
horrible feeling.
exactly, and like the people that I know that are A students, they're done, and I'm just like, now I need to get done. These people are done,
Right.
So I kind of have like you can take what you will from the different people around you,
Oh yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah.
make sure it's beneficial.
Yeah, but you don't ever want to put yourself like at a disadvantage. You know, like
Yeah, exactly,
you want to put
exactly.
yourself around, the best people humanly
Yeah,
possible. And if
and
if you end up befriending somebody who might not be like straight edge or something like that, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah,
you can know what to take and what not to take from them. Like, I mean, like
yeah,
but I've had people around me smoking weed isn't a terrible thing. First of all, I'm not
yeah,
against
yeah,
it
yeah.
at all. But it's like I've my whole life, I've had people around me do that, and I've never done it
Yeah,
in my
same
life
here.
ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like you can definitely be your own person, and you can definitely realize, okay, well, what I want to be a successful individual. I want to be able to, like buy my mom, her own home and like move out my whole family and kind of just be in a situation where, money isn't a problem and I can do whatever I want to. I can travel, I can,
Yeah,
start an independent film, do this, do that. I want to be able to be in that position. Ideally, that's like the closest I can be. And I'm okay with, making $60,000 a year. I'm okay with being able to not do all those things, but the ideal situation is to be there.
yeah.
And
American dream, dude.
yeah, the American dream, right? And I want to better myself, and I know that like my current form, I'm not capable of being there. I'm not worthy of being there yet.
It's that
But
maturity stage. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but it's still a situation where it's like I want to be around the individuals who who will definitely move me forward because there's a lot of people that like I know that I'm sure everyone knows that like they're like like when someone I feel like people like to tear you down. Maybe it's not intentional. If someone is stagnant in their
Yeah,
life, you know what I mean? If someone's stagnant, not moving
yeah,
forward, and you are, it's almost like a problem for a lot of people, right?
yeah. They
oh
kind of feel embarrassed.
yeah,
I think it's definitely feel like embarrassed to some degree,
right.
especially when you talk about it. And some people even get frustrated.
Yeah, I had an old friend who was like, who'd make it seem like I was trying too hard to like trying too
Yeah,
hard to for
exactly.
what?
You're
To be yeah, like you're to be yourself, to succeed in life, you're trying too hard.
yeah,
Like there's no such thing.
yeah,
And yeah.
exactly. And it's like if you do your own thing, it's like there's a lot of people that are criticize you, but it's
Hmm.
like I'm just being me, and it doesn't matter. It's like nothing they say actually matters, unless it's like a really close friend and they say something that criticizes you.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, wow, like what did you go through that makes you think that? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like why do you think that? And then it becomes more of a question of how can I help my friend?
Like like some of the greatest advice that people give is like the cliches are just so true. Like
Yeah,
it's unreal when people just say, follow your dreams, do this, do that. Like a lot of people kind of like to take the negative. Like for example, like I was having a conversation with a friend a while back, and it's like follow your dreams. Like I was just telling him like dude, just do it. Like you want to go to college, you want to do this, just do it. And he was just like, yeah, but reality and life and et cetera, et cetera. But to me, it's like I don't really like believe. First of all, I feel like if you're living with your mom right now or your dad or whatever, and you have to pay like two bills, like you are in a position that like a lot of people would kill for. You know what I mean? Like I am.
yeah,
It took me way too long to be grateful for the kind of position that I'm in. I don't have to pay any bills, and I have all this free time, and I can kind of go. I can take six classes if I wanted to. I don't need to work. I can do the. You know what I mean? Like I do so much with
yeah,
all the free time I have because my mom is busting her butt, right? And so like
yeah,
as I'm trying to find myself and figure out what is it that I want to do, I don't want to sit around wasting time, and I also don't want to sit around doing something that I don't want to do, going down a path that everyone else went down, and like I don't want to repeat that. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
that's a lot of people
exactly.
do that. Like they just go down the path that their mother went down, and like I love my mother or whatever, but I want to have a better life.
Be
I don't.
yourself.
I want to, and I want to be myself. Like I want to just like I wouldn't be happy in her shoes. You know what I mean? Like maybe she's happy in her shoes, but I don't want to be in those shoes. So it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, like I'm in this opportunity and I'm trying to grab it and get as much as I can. But I also know that there's a lot of people who can't. And I feel like if you're listening and if you're one of those people and you're someone who's like me, who's in in a unique position, and you'll know. Like, come on, you'll know. Like everyone knows. And like if you are in a unique position, it's like that cliche, like go follow your dreams, just do it, etc. Get out there, whatever it is, like actually do it. Like every time I try something new, I relate it to like getting into a pool. I hate the pool because like usually I'm skinny, so when the water's cold, it's horrible. But after I'm starting to swim for like, 5 minutes, I feel fine. And it's the same thing when you're starting something new or you're trying something that you've never tried before. It's like at first you're really uncomfortable. Maybe you just suck. This podcast, maybe this podcast is horrible. But
Yeah,
as the more that
might
we
as well
do
try
it,
it.
yeah, I might as well try it. And the more that I do it, the warmer that it gets, the better I get, the more sense that I make, maybe the better audio quality, whatever it is, format, whatever it is
Yeah,
that like I'm lacking, I'll eventually get better. And I think it's very important like to keep that mindset because like I don't know, like a lot of the times like I find myself drifting off from that, like kind of forgetting that and being miserable because of the negatives that are in my life, like a lot of the like, whatever it is, heartbreak, just whatever the hell it is that's like impacting me, sometimes I let it get to me. And it's just like, oh, and then when I let that get to me, I also let it like make myself feel like I'm worthless. Like how the heck can you just feel like that? How did you spend an entire day sitting in bed, feeling sorry about yourself, like you're an idiot? And then I like further down myself, you know what I mean? And I'm able to
yeah,
pick myself back up, but I know there's so many people out there who
I
haven't
don't.
or unable to. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's like such a problem, like
yeah,
there's so much in life, man. Like I don't know, like I'm trying to like remind myself of that, like being grateful. Like I know like Gary Vee says a lot, like, being grateful is like it's a superpower to me. Because once you're grateful for everything you have, like you're okay. You know what I mean? Like you're okay and you can work for whatever it is and you can just be happy at the same time. Like you're winning. I try to win. I try to be happy while I do things. It's hard for me to be happy like right now because of like whatever it is, but I can still like do things and be grateful that I have the opportunity to do things. Like the fact that I'm
yeah.
able to record this podcast, the fact that I was able to meet Robert 6 years ago on the internet, all things that
Oh yeah.
drastically changed
Side
my
note:
life.
we've Sean, Stan, and I, we've never met each other.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah,
all live in
never.
completely different parts,
Robert literally lives
and
at the other side of the United States, and Sean doesn't
yeah,
even live in the country at all.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know. In addition to those things that like the people that aren't able to like motivate themselves, I know a lot of people, especially because of the kind of school that I'm in.
Hmm.
Like, it's a very or the place that I live. It's a very poverty-stricken area, and basically, like a lot of people are discouraged to go to college because of the money. And I know
Yeah,
that's a
dude.
huge thing, especially when there's like an average of like 13 people living in one like bedroom
Oh,
house around
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like sitting here like it's insane. But like there's a lot of offers out there. And like you can't be discouraged. Like
Bro,
obviously it will be something that hangs over you.
Bro, hold on, hold on.
But
Before you say
yeah.
anything, my friend, right? I was talking to him about college, about this very thing, and he was telling me about how expensive it was. You know that same friend had no idea what financial aid was?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
isn't
And I'm
that
like,
insane?
yeah, and it should be like a top priority thing. And I'm telling people like even the people that know financial aid is a thing, and they're
Yeah.
like, I'm still gonna have to pay. It's like, dude, like you really need to like think about this. Like
Hmm.
college is a huge thing. Like it will take you a long ways.
Yeah,
And
it can and it can't. A lot of people do have the argument that college is
but
like losing its
okay,
value or whatever, but
true, 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 true.
we'll talk about
But
that though. We'll talk about
the
that.
general education, like the more educated voters, the more it revolves around everything.
Oh yeah,
Like I
for
can talk
sure.
about my sister about voting, and she's like, I don't care. She hasn't been registered to vote, and she's 30. And I was like, exactly. I'm just like,
Yeah.
holy shit. And another thing for those people that are very discouraged, uh, my senior quote, and it was said by one of my favorite people in the world, Jim Carrey.
Hmm.
He, his quote is, "You can fail at something you don't want to do, so you might as well take a chance of doing what you love." And he said this during a commencement speech, I believe.
Hmm.
And it's one of the greatest things I've heard. It's super cliche, like super like kind of cringe reciting it to myself, but it's like it's true. You
It
never like
really
you
is.
go
That's
through
so,
stuff,
I love that. I love that.
yeah, and it's like you can go through stuff and you're like, I don't want to do what I love. Like I don't want to do that. Like I would love to do that, but my friends don't want to. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, why should that matter to you? Like you're you. Go do what you want. Go do what you love. If you fail, you failed. It doesn't
Right,
matter. Maybe you can be discouraged. Move on to the next thing.
right,
But
right.
if you never do that and you end up doing something else, like let's say for those people that don't want to go to college and because they're discouraged by the money, even though there's loans out there, there's a ton of financial aid, especially for this area.
Mm-hmm.
And there's schools, especially UC schools, that are like they're really willing to give out financial aid. Um, it's like if they don't do that and they do something that they don't want to do, they end up not pursuing the thing that they always think about. Then maybe they'll do something little on the side, and maybe that won't work out. And it's like, well, what was the better choice?
Yeah,
The thing that you failed at, or the thing that scares you?
I mean, like I feel like you don't really actually have a choice. You know, I know a lot of people, they like I remember I heard this like Gary Vee and I thought it was so brilliant. And it was like this guy was he was talking about like how horrible his life was. And man, just side note, dude, dude, it was bad, man. It was really bad. Like some people have it really rough out there. And then he was just talking about, how he did start a business and how he was doing well, but a lot of like, the past like really like weighs him down. And it just really goes to show you like some people are superhuman, Like my mentor, Keon, he literally he has like Crohn's disease. He had like three other diseases or two other diseases. I've known him for my whole life. He doesn't even talk about it. The fact that the only reason I know that he has Crohn's disease is because it's the one that makes it so he can't really eat that much, right? So if he can't eat
Mhm.
that much and we hang out, he's like, "Oh, I can't really eat that," or "I can't really eat that." That is the only reason why I know about Crohn's disease. He doesn't even talk about it. And the dude, he's like a superstar. Like if he wasn't very like he's a Jehovah's Witness, and so there's a lot that Jehovah's Witnesses do. If he wasn't so into that, the guy would probably be like you'd probably know who he was. You know what I mean? Like he'd be like a
Yeah,
well-known psychologist or a well-known something, anything that he wanted to do because he's so brilliant. And these people have so much holding them back. And that's another thing that just like amazes me. But the fact that the guy got as far as he did. Anyway, and the guy was asking Gary, he was like, da da da, like what do I do? And Gary was like you have no effing choice, man. Like what's the actual choice? Like you let your life, it's something like this, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like you let your life just like be impacted and slow down and just like become nothing, or you go out and get it, you try. Like what's the real choice? Like is there really a choice there? And it's like that was like
yeah,
another thing for me. Like I was feeling so horrible, bro, and it was just like that's what made me get up and do all the things that was like doing. It was just like, yeah, what choice do I have? Like why am I sitting here allowing myself to feel like that? Like this isn't what I want. Like wallowing in self-pity, this isn't what I want to do every day. What happened to buying my mom a house? What happened to doing this? You know what I mean? And it just
yeah.
gets me to get up. But then none of that ever lasts. You know what I mean? It's like a bag of
Temporary
chips.
sadness.
Yeah, it's like yeah. No, I'm talking about like the motivation itself too. Like the sadness, you do get over it, right? But it's
Oh yeah,
also just like
exactly. Ups and
motivation.
downs.
It's yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's it's bad. Like it's something that you need to keep on it. So I mean, I'm in no position to give anyone like some advice, like what do I know kind of thing. But it's still like from what I've learned, from what I've done, I have to keep myself motivated. So every morning, every time I get up, maybe every afternoon, depends on when I sleep. It's like I get up, I watch something motivational. I watch a Gary Vee video. I watch something to help me get out of bed and having that right mindset. And maybe, there's other things that I can be doing, but right now it's all I do. And it's just to keep myself like, keep that energy. Like, I woke up today and I just heard something on a video. That's what made me even want to start this podcast today. I was like, you know what? I'm done.
yeah,
I'm done like, pushing it to the side or thinking about it or worrying about how terrible it's going to be. I'm going to do it. Okay, well, that's a lot. That's a lot of talk about motivation. We did talk about college, and I actually wanted to like kind of. I was gonna kind of stem from that, but there's some things I want to say, and I love that Jim Carrey quote, by the way. It's really great.
yeah. It's yeah,
It's
definitely
beautiful.
great.
It's beautiful. Okay,
And
good.
wait, one more thing. When you
Hmm.
were saying like people's lives like suck, like yeah, they're like
Yeah, dude.
um PewDiePie. I've been watching PewDiePie forever,
Hmm.
but recently with this more like maturity with his channel and and all of that,
Yeah.
I love it, and especially his book club.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have a lot of time right now to read, but I really enjoy reading. And there's some books that I've written down that I want to read. And it's because of him. And one of them is a book called No Longer Human.
Mm-hmm.
and it's by a Japanese author, and like he was basically giving a description of this author, and it was like, holy hell! Like this guy essentially, he was raped as a child. His wife, I believe, killed himself.
Oh,
He's attempted suicide multiple times, and he killed himself the day that his book was released, The No
Jesus.
Longer Human, and his body was found on his birthday. And it
Jesus.
was like, yeah, I don't. There's just so much
People just go
ooh,
through it, man. People go through it.
yeah,
Like
and
God.
yeah, and it's like I don't know. I feel like even though it's for a lot of people, it's impossible. Like I say, if there's anything that like encourages you, motivates you in the slightest, like cling to it.
Yeah.
And like still relating to that Jim Carrey quote, like just go for it. It
Y-
doesn't matter if you fail.
Yeah, there was my sister, she runs like a assisted living facility, and one of the people like said to her like, where there's life, there's hope. A lot of the cliches, man, like they sound like so, oh, whatever, but dude, it's like it's so real. Like when you're in it, it's
Yeah.
so real. Like I have big big dreams and huge ambition, right? And like you need to know like those cliches, those are like they don't feel like cliches. They don't feel like something that everyone else is doing. You know what I mean? Like not everyone is like following their dreams. Like so many people, even the people that I even see in my film class, it doesn't really seem like they're actually there doing what they love. It's there's a
Yeah,
lot of people who are there. I
I feel
mean,
like
dude.
film's most likely like one of those classes that people just like take to take,
Hmm.
as like it's there and they need like credits. I don't think it really matters anything,
Yeah, so, film appreciation was definitely that class, whereas there's just so many majors. But there are some like like screenwriting one and whatever. You have to be like a writing or film major, for example, to get
Kind of
into it.
something to get through.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably a lot of people feel.
and I was trying to like network and kind of talk to people. And speaking of networking, actually, before I even get into that, let's kind of jump topics. You've been a motivation for a while.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to talk about like college, and school and all that stuff. So
Alright.
I feel like
The right man.
a lot of people have like this huge stigma of college, and just like we spoke about earlier,
Not
where
even
it's like
college, just classes. Sitting through something, listening to somebody speak, having to like
learn,
learn.
yeah,
A lot of people are averted to that. They just
yeah,
don't like it.
yeah, but it's mostly like the stigma too. It's like it's a
Yeah,
waste of time. It's like why would I go to college when I can make $12 an hour at IHOP? Why would I do this when I can
yeah,
do that? And it's coming to the point though where like college is definitely losing its value, and I think it's mostly happening because of the internet and social media. And I kind of want to just get into that. That's kind of like one of my reasoning, but like college is losing its value. Like a degree isn't getting as many jobs as it should, for example. Like if you're gonna be here for
yeah.
4 years, it should net you a job ASAP, but it doesn't. It all comes back down
But
to who
I
you
feel
know,
like,
what kind of opportunities you built. Good?
yeah, but I feel like, I don't know. In no way are we like, in any way, like, eligible or like certified to talk about this like
Yeah.
topic. But I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, just
Hmm.
from a third perspective glance, I don't know. I feel like it education is important no matter what.
It's
I don't
better
know.
than nothing for sure. Like
Exactly.
I mean,
It's like,
education is different than like school, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
Like if
exactly. It is. It is.
it's just it's different. Like you could go to school and not be educated. Really, you can't. And it's one
Yeah.
of those things. It's like if you want to be a fashion artist and you go to school for fashion and then you leave, does that just automatically make it so that you're going to make the best clothes that everyone's going to be wearing in a year?
No.
No. It
But it
comes
gives you that. It gives you that foundation
it
that
gives
you
you a
need.
foundation and it gives you, first of all, the reason why I even want to go to school for film is because I'm around people who like the same thing I do. The way that I got started was because my friends in high school all wanted to do the same thing I did. And it was a
Yeah.
magical time, and I didn't even know I was in that magical bubble where I can just have this idea, talk to my friends, we try to record it. It sucks, scrap it, move on to something
Yeah.
else. You know what I mean? Like that was such a magical and a great thing. And like it's so hard to come by because I'm not comfortable around some people, or
Yeah.
it's some people just aren't as
That's
motivated over.
that's kind of college, didn't you? Just gotta branch out. Cause I
Yeah.
there's something that I've been saying to like myself, like is like a middle schooler, like going into sixth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I hear people just go, "I hate school," I'm like, I can understand why, but like in my head, I kind of don't. Like school is where you meet everybody.
Right.
Like if you didn't have school, I don't know how you would meet a lot of people. Because
Right.
I know all of my best friends,
From school.
most of the people I know, yeah, exactly, from school. Basically, like who I am today is typically from school. Um, my case a little bit different. This generation in general, a bit
Mm-hmm.
different because there's a lot more internet.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
but still, like being able to make those connections is huge.
For sure.
And my high school med tech teacher, she always says that college is one of those things where that is like that's where you meet people. This is when you finally see the world. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
you're meeting people from like India, Switzerland, Netherlands that decided I want to go to UCSC. Like
Right.
who like exactly it's like these huge so you're meeting people all kinds of different cultures like
I
every
mean, you're meeting like really grown people too. Like you're meeting
yeah,
like that 45
exactly.
year old and they're like the best people to talk to really because
Yeah.
like honestly, like those people they've been through it. Like honestly, like networking is so important if that's what you want to call it. Like networking, friend making, whatever it is. I don't like
Yeah.
calling it networking because it feels like you're trying to talk to someone and gain something from them, which
Yeah,
seems kind
exactly.
of
It kind of sounds
scummy.
like leveraging. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice to me because you can branch out, and if college
You really
if the degree doesn't get you anything, that will for sure. You know what I mean? You will meet
exactly.
somebody
I was just about to say that.
whose cousin does like dude, I was talking to my barber and he showed me like these excellent pictures that his I think his cousin or his nephew, one of the two, his these really really great pictures that he takes and he does some videography too. And he was just showing me like yeah, he's a photographer and he's really really skilled and whatever it is and like that guy like in 2 years when like let's say I get really good at my craft I can get some connection through that guy to shoot a music video for whoever he worked with in the past. It can all work out that way, and it's just one of those things. It's like an open mic. My friend Chris does open mics a lot. Shout out to Chris. And whenever you go there, I think this is how Ed Sheeran was discovered. He was at an open mic, and I think I don't remember who it was. Jamie Foxx or something like that heard him and just put him on. It was somebody. I don't remember. Don't quote me on the people, but for sure, I'm sure it's happened in the past, right? You go to an open mic, just the right person hears you. If you saw that movie with Lady Gaga in it, what is it, A Star Is Born?
Oh
I
yeah, I
mean,
want to see that. I really
dude,
want to see
that
that.
movie was so good. Like lovely. I loved everything about it. But moving on, like in the movie, there's a scene where Bradley Cooper goes into a bar and he's like a famous singer. He goes into a bar and he just hears her singing in the bar, and it's just like, and she just that like was like everything. That moment right there,
Yeah.
that could be yours. You know what I mean? That can be whoever it is. And that was one of those things where it's like you can go to school, you meet somebody who goes to open mics with you, or does whatever and puts you in that position. And like going to school is more beneficial than not. The problem is though, it's like you're in a position where you're like, it's such a huge commitment because like you're in debt for five, $10,000, 15, $20,000 by the time you're done. It's like holy crap, like I mean, like it better be worth it, you know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
also one of those things where it's like, yeah, but you could be working an entry level job and
Yeah,
kind of make yourself
exactly.
up and do nothing.
Like if you're not gonna take the degree with you, take the connections with you. You know, like
Mhm.
that's something that you can take everywhere. That skill, that like I don't know, just being able to do that, it's huge. Especially when like I can talk to people and they have a hard time literally making eye contact with
Right.
me, and it's like I'm looking them in the eyes and they feel awkward, like they don't like it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, and I can understand in some cultures, Like, 'cause I know that
I
some
mean,
cultures,
social anxiety
eye
is like
contact,
not
yeah, it's a
cultural at
huge
all. It's
thing.
a thing.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. But in some cultures, eye contact is considered as
Rude.
disrespect.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I can understand that. But in the U.S., I don't know. When I grew up, it was look at me, like
Hmm.
like look into my eyes. I'm talking to you, and I kind of just grew up looking at people in the eyes, and I feel like it respects them because
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people, especially when I was in my old school freshman year, my friends, they were always on their phones. And I've told you this multiple times. No matter what,
Yeah. It's AIDS,
after
dude.
class, break, lunch, they were on their phones playing games. All of them, and I was the only one, and I never brought my phone to school. I was a kid. I didn't bring my phone to school until sophomore year because I started talking to a girl. And it was like I never brought my phone to school,
It's
and I'm
hardcore.
just seeing them play their games. I'm like, hey, can we like talk? Like, I just sat in a class for 2 hours listening
Right.
to a lecture. Like, I
Right.
would like to talk. Like, I want to stand up, do something. They're like, dude, what are you complaining about? You play games too, and I'm like, when I'm at home, like, like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
That actually, dude, that thing goes through my head night and day. Like, it gives me nightmares. I swear
Honestly,
right now.
I could, yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, I'm someone who gets very easily annoyed. I'm sure you know that. And like,
Yeah,
whenever I'm interacting with people in real life, them being on their phones really ticks me off because it doesn't feel like I'm being listened to.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like especially if I'm like trying to talk to somebody, and it's just
Yeah, and
also on their phone. It's like you're like, it's almost like I'm like saying something that's not interesting or
yeah, it doesn't
something.
matter. Obviously, you don't matter as much as what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I
And
hate it.
it's like, exactly. I think everybody hates it, and I never really realized that. Typically, I never talk when a teacher's talking. I always talk
Yeah.
when work is assigned. Um, but I guess I never really realized what it's like until I was a part of Link Crew, which is you do the freshman orientation and welcome in the freshmen. I had a group of 15 freshmen at the time,
Hmm.
and I these kids, some of them were like obviously they were gonna skip class. Like I can tell just by looking at them because they were on their phones talking. They kind of had that like ratchet aura with them.
Right. Yeah.
And then there was one kid. He came from a wealthy family, and he was obviously ahead of the game. And he was interested. And so what I did is we had this one game set up, and I decided that I wasn't gonna play it. Like we spent the last week like preparing to go through all these steps, and I was
Hmm.
like, I don't want to do this. I'm just gonna talk to them, and I was answering any question they wanted, anything they need to know for the future, any advice, because I know that some people when I was talking that I talked to when I was going into freshman year,
Hmm.
they didn't know what it was like, and I didn't sure as hell didn't know what it was like either.
Right.
Um, but it's not like it was a huge change for me, you know? It's not that drastic of a difference
Hmm.
because you're still generally with the same people. Um, kind of depends where you go,
Yeah, it really
but
depends.
yeah, it depends. Yeah. And while I was talking, there was four of them, two different groups, and two in each group, and they were just on their phones and talking while I'm trying to give an answer. And
Yeah.
one of them asked me the question, and I was like, "What?"
Mm.
Like I was like, and I fully understood what teachers feel like
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like it's their job to tell you, but it's like they're doing it for you nevertheless. Some teachers
Exactly.
maybe not, but they're still doing it. And it's like today I got caught talking because I was talking about the blood drive because I have to run the blood drive
Hmm.
tomorrow. And or I guess Halloween day whenever this goes out. Um and like when I got talking, he seemed upset and I'm really cool with that teacher. And I felt bad. I felt really bad at the time. I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, fair? And I'm like, fair, fair, fair. I'm sorry.
Fair, fair.
Yeah. And I was and like I don't know, I felt bad, but I was just curious because the girl in front of me, um, she wasn't gonna be donating blood, and she's in the class that's kind of setting it up, and I was like, oh, why not? And anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
that was about.
yeah, I feel what you're saying. I mean, like, that whole degree, like when how teachers feel, just to kind of touch on that, is like, dude, it's crazy. Like teachers, man, they okay. I think I remember when I was watching, but people were they were talking about. I think it was Spielberg who was saying it in a very old speech, and how like teachers are like the most underpaid and like important part of our society. And it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
when you remember all those things that teachers are saying to you, and as you grew up and you can really understand like or just appreciate it, it's really crazy. Like I know a lot
yeah,
of people here are probably older or whatever. Maybe you're younger, maybe you're like 14 watching this. I don't know. But like, dude, like honestly, teachers really are trying. A lot of them are horrible. Oh God, I had the worst geometry teacher and I really hated her. Like, I still despise, and I hope that no one has to ever be taught by her ever again. But it's just what, like, when you get those teachers who are genuinely trying to help you, who are genuinely
yeah.
trying to better
And
you,
they care,
yeah,
and it's
and they
evident
care.
when they do care.
Yeah, I mean, those
And
those are rare. You should definitely
yeah,
interact with those
and
people.
and I think a lot of the times, a lot of people don't take what they learn in a class and apply it to something other than a class. Because I know or I was sitting in
Shit,
my
I don't.
calculus class,
Hmm.
and while I'm just sitting there, I'm like looking at some of the problems, and I was like this is stuff that's been built up for the last like 9 years of me being in school, 10,
Hmm.
11 years, and I'm just like, it's like those connections that you can make. And I don't know, it's like there's a lot of things you can take outside the class, especially because of the specific class I'm in, and I'm going to be doing public presentations on actual scientific research. Um, some of the stuff we have to do is we're using math in the real world, figuring out the slope of like the side of like a hill
Hmm.
to try to figure out where the leaflet is going, or like how the rainfall is going to drop, or if it's facing north and south. Because if it's facing, I believe, south, the sun's going to be hitting it more.
Hmm.
And is those like little things?
Yeah,
And I don't know.
y'all
I
learned a
couldn't
lot more than
completely
me
wrong.
in school. So I'm saying I don't know what the hell you're saying
Oh,
there.
it's because of this. It's sponsored by um this huge research company. Like
Oh yeah, you guys get a
and
lot of those like
yeah,
really awesome like things, right? For cause your
yeah.
area. Yeah.
Just yeah, specifically because of the area, not because of the school's prestige. In any way,
Okay. Yeah. Right.
this the school I'm in is literally ranked, I believe, second from the bottom, and
That's beautiful.
the only thing below it is a juvenile school.
That's
And it's
great.
funny, but in looking at like, kind of made me sad. And actually, one of my aspirations is to be a teacher, and it's one of the first things I ever thought about it. And
Really.
yeah, the graduation rate of people in my high school going to a 4 year college,
Hmm.
it's like 10%, like 8%,
Jeez.
and it's a huge chunk that don't go to college or only go to Gabriel. If you go to Gabriel, great. I'm glad you're going. But it's like there's just like huge chunk of people that like I don't. And the thing is, a lot of people that go to community colleges.
Hmm.
Um, Cabrillo is a community college. Just for any of you that don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I
I
figured
don't,
that's what it was, but yeah.
yeah. I don't. I don't know how to say this without kind of sounding like a dick. But there's people that go to Cabrillo College because they don't have the accessibility or the financial needs to
Go
go
somewhere
to four
else,
years. Exactly.
which
But
is fine. Yeah.
I know a lot of people that go to Cabrillo just go
Because
because they
it's
feel that they
easier.
have to. But
Oh.
yeah, that too. Because
Hmm.
they feel that they should go to college and it's easier. And inevitably they end up dropping out very quickly.
Right.
Because they realize that college is something they're not prepared for.
I mean,
And it kind of goes back into like the whole like motivation, respect, all the topics we've already kind of covered.
I mean, college, I feel like anyone is prepared for it. In reality, like, yeah, you're not prepared for
Well,
like hardcore. Like, I
yeah,
think I think everyone can take baby steps. Is
yeah,
I think a huge problem is like that people have like the stigma. College is like high school. Like, no, you can literally take two classes. I have two classes right
yeah.
now
I
because two of
mean,
my
what I
classes
meant
were
by
dropped.
prepared is mentally, like the mental maturity to be
Right,
able to
yeah.
go into a class and learn for yourself.
Okay, right, yeah. That's fair. But like, college is just yeah, there's so much opportunity that you can make for yourself. And to go a bit back on like the topic at hand, whenever you're like going to school, for example, and you're not just going to school to take your classes, networking is important. Like, there's so much you can do now with the internet, like YouTube, making a YouTube video right now is like you can just do it, right? Making an
Yeah,
Instagram post, like
honestly,
everything
honestly,
you have so much more agency in life. Like you can brand yourself. Think of yourself as like a brand, is what a lot of the
yeah.
opportunity like the
Like
entrepreneurs say.
Ninja, Ninja
Hmm.
is a dude. He's a smart man.
Oh
He
yeah.
knows, like, if I don't make this post, I'm not gonna get that publicity.
Right.
Like he posts constantly. Like he's smart
He
about what he
is.
does,
And
and it's one of those things. Like just starting this podcast. Sorry to be interrupting, but
no, go ahead, dude,
I
dude,
just
dude, don't worry about it.
um in the beginning, like when you said let's go, like I've been prepared. Like I've been waiting to do this shit,
Yeah.
and when I went in, I kind of got nervous. Like I'm standing right now. Like I got it, and
Hmm.
I was nervous to the point like, oh, what do I say, etc. But like now I'm excited. Like
Of
I want to
course.
keep talking.
Yeah, it's
I just want
great.
to keep going, and it's like, yeah,
It's a great feeling. Like when what you gotta get into it. It's like at first the water was cold, and then you started swimming in it, and it became warm, and now you like to be in the pool.
yeah,
That's kind of what's happening. But to touch on Ninja, like okay, so Ninja actually was going to school at the start of his streaming career, and then
yeah.
like
Same with PewDiePie.
dude, he's a go-getter, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
if anybody wants like, there's like a video like talking about Ninja. You should definitely do some research on him. Brilliant guy. I know a lot of people like hate him, and there's like this real bad public opinion on him, like
oh,
on some side,
quick
depending
thing.
on what you look at. Good.
If anybody does not know who Ninja is, because we're going on the assumption that all of you guys
Oh,
are like internet connoisseurs,
yeah,
um, Ninja is a Twitch.tv streamer.
right.
Twitch.tv is a website in which people stream video games, or they just go around and kind of vlog their life in a real time way, maybe with like a 5 minute delay, etc.
Yeah.
Um, these people, if you get good, they're entertainers. Like you can like a lot of people. There's this like exactly what you're saying, a stigma, this connotation to these Twitch streamers. Are like this guy's literally just playing a game.
It's
And it's
it's
like if
not
it
that
was that
simple.
simple, everybody would be at the top. But
Yeah.
there's a few people that are
It's
at the
like every
top of the game.
and
And
Ninja is essentially the king of kings. He's like,
yeah,
okay,
and
Jeff,
only recently,
yeah.
before it was like Lyric, Soda Poppin, other huge streamers that have been streaming for like 8+ years.
Oh, by
And
the way, happy
Ninja,
birthday to Bob Ross. Good.
oh shit, is it actually his birthday?
Yeah, it's his birthday
I had no
today.
idea. I wonder if, oh, if you guys like Bob Ross at Twitch.tv, they always put a series of all of his
Yeah,
videos up.
yeah, it's great.
Every time it's, yeah, it's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, to like, oh, what was I gonna say? I
You
forgot.
was
Oh yeah,
just-
Ninja. He was fairly big because he's good at what he does. He's good at
Mhm.
games. And that's one way to get a lot of attention.
Right.
But recently, with Fortnite coming out, I'm sure all of you know what Fortnite is. Um, he became huge not only because the game is huge, but because he knows how to brand and because he's good.
He's a
And
go-getter, man.
he's
A real go-getter.
energetic. He has a personality. He's funny, and he's a genuine good guy. And it's like a lot of people don't like him because he sells out, and selling out means that you kind of do stuff in a way that gets you currency. That's the best way I can explain it. Or you purposely seek it out.
Right.
And there's a thing on Twitch called Twitch Prime, and it's a new thing because the guy who owns Amazon also owns Twitch.
Yep.
And Twitch Prime, if you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free subscription, and the subscription is $5 that you send to your favorite streamer or a streamer that you'd like to send it to, and you can renew that every month. And if you
Hmm.
have Twitch Prime, you can do that for free.
Right.
And
Just giving the
Twitch,
streamer the money.
yeah, exactly. The Twitch takes out a percentage, and Amazon takes out a percentage, but generally the streamer takes the majority, I believe.
Yeah, they get
and
$3 ish.
that's if they're big. So
Yeah,
assuming, well, Ninja being the biggest,
yeah.
he gets about $3.
And
And
just to hold on, just to tell you guys, Ninja isn't just like the biggest. You know what I mean? He's not like I don't know, he's not like Bill Gates was, like, $6 billion behind Warren Buffett. No, he was like, imagine if like, if we're gonna use money, we're gonna use the richest people in the world. I'm looking at a list right now. Bill Gates is 90 billion net worth. Jeff Bezos is 112 billion. Ninja would be like 280 billion in comparison to everyone else. Like his stream was ridiculous. I
yeah,
mean, like he had 200 plus
he
thousand
had
subscribers.
200,000 plus subscribers, and the second biggest had 60,000.
Like, and that is the 60,000 is insane in
Just,
itself.
yeah,
It's
sixty
it,
thousand is like
Imagine
bigger
it's
than big.
That's like $3 a month, give or take. You just do the math on that.
Three,
It's a
oh yeah, per
buttload of
person.
money. It's a buttload, and
Yeah,
not counting the
not
people who do
including ad revenue
25, the
and
people who,
donations.
yeah, it's just on sub itself. Some people do tier 3 subs, which is $25 a month, so you probably get a lot more for that. But dude, like, just imagine all that, just in terms of money. Like when like you can talk about money, whatever, but like individually having that many like paid subscribers on your channel is insane. So Ninja
Yeah,
was like
he made,
huge.
to give you perspective, some of these streamers make a couple thousand a day, depending if it's a good day.
Right, yeah.
Um, Most of these streamers, the biggest streamers, can make up to like probably about 100,000 a month,
Oh
right?
yeah. I
And
mean,
those are like big streamers, like people that get like 20,000 average
right.
viewers. Ninja was getting 100,000 plus viewers average and
Which is insane.
200,000 subs, and he made $500,000 within a month.
Which is
And it's nuts. This guy's huge, amazing at branding, etc.
yeah,
Anyway, we gotta move on from that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's definitely amazing. But look, the reason I was talking about that was mostly just content creating and just getting yourself out there is like a better alternative almost to like college. But Ninja was doing both at the same time at first until, streaming was taking off and he was getting some money from it and he realized, okay, well, I can't be at my best and go to school at the same time. I will literally die. You know what I mean? So I think he just completely dropped it or he just like
Yeah,
went less, or one of the two. I think he completely dropped it though. But he didn't need to.
yeah.
Like Ninja wasn't always like super big. Like I've known about Ninja for a long
He's
time from the
relatively
Call of
small.
Duty.
Yeah,
He was relatively small, and then once Fortnite came out, and like you started just saying
boomed.
that just some people, and he was streaming for 6 years. So he was doing this for 6 years, making decent money, and then boom, millionaire instantly, almost. Like it was just, and it was just
Yeah, like overnight.
same
Absolutely
guy. The
insane.
same guy 3 years ago is the same guy now. Obviously he probably changed some things about him, but he was the same
Yeah.
go-getter.
And
And if he was never content creating, if he always decided, oh, I'm not gonna make that much money, or whatever it is that we all tell ourselves to not do something, he would never have this golden
yeah.
opportunity. And even if he
And
didn't get it, the fact that he even tried on it is just respect and
yeah.
amazing.
If you were to take anything away from what Ninja and like the motivation, etc., we're like, I'm really glad all of this is kind of going together.
Yeah,
Um, the motivation, anything, be smart. This man is intelligent, and the best way I can show this is Fortnite, because it's so big. A lot of kids play it,
hmm,
and he knows this. And he was a guy that liked to curse a lot because on the internet, a lot of people curse.
yeah,
There's just a lot of people. There's no
it's what's
respect
cool.
really because you're not face to face.
Yeah,
Um, and a lot of people in general curse in general, like just in this general timeline, these generations, we curse a lot. It's
uh-huh,
just general fact. It's like the meaning behind it is kind of losing its value. It
right.
doesn't hit as hard. Um, he took a huge leap and decided he was going to change himself for the better and stop cursing. And what
Right.
happened when he stopped cursing? His viewers essentially like almost doubled in some ways. Like families were able to watch him now.
Yeah,
These people
I
that
mean,
would watch him, their kids could watch
it's
because
brilliant.
now he stopped cursing,
It's
and
great.
it's huge.
It's just great. Like, and it's respectful too. It's respectable. A lot of people just saw it as him selling out. But like, let's say if you had like 70,000 to 80,000,
Yeah,
the kids watching you, would you really, and the parents obviously don't want them cursing around them, and you probably
Yeah,
don't want them cursing either. You don't want them exposed to that kind of language, like whatever it is you're using their vocabulary, whether you just think it's vulgar, whatever it is, like the fact that he had like the presence of mind to just say, what, I'm gonna do this instead of just saying, nah, I'm not gonna be someone else. Like it's just him not swearing, he's still Ninja, he's still Tyler, you know what I mean? But he's just not swearing. I think it was just a great. I think he's honestly, I'm a huge fan of him. I don't really watch like his streams anymore because I have like a dying interest in Fortnite. But I'm still a huge fan of him. Like I think he's a great
yeah.
person.
He's
He's
an entertainer.
the one that's making games like gaming like mainstream and everything. And this is like we're in such a weird pocket in time it feels where it's just like everyone is kind of like sleeping on the wheel when we're seeing like all these things like become interesting like even anime itself was like when I was going to high school, if I said I watch anime, people instantly said you're watching hentai and then I'm weird and it's just it was not. And now people don't even like, from what I understand, people can just talk about it, like everybody watches My Hero, and like it's just
Yeah,
this weird,
exactly.
you're in this weird pocket. Video game Ninja is like making it
It's a transition
mainstream.
year. It
Yeah,
really is.
Ninja was on
Transition
the
period.
cover of ESPN. Like the fact
Yeah,
that like stuff
exactly.
like that
And
is happening.
what was it? CNN as well.
I think was
Because
he on
they were
CNN?
talking about his revenue. Yeah,
That's it.
he was on news in the other interview. I
Uh,
don't know what media
yeah,
outlet.
I think he was on CN. He was on CNBC. Let's
Oh,
see.
okay.
I don't know if that's CNN. If I'm being honest, I don't know. It could be.
Anyways, yeah.
They are being covered on CNN though, for sure,
Yeah.
especially when he was
Another
streaming with Drake.
person that was just like a ninja is PewDiePie. Yeah, I'm sure anybody listening to this knows who PewDiePie is.
Of course, you should,
Especially
or you've heard
uploading
of
this
it.
to YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you don't know PewDiePie, educate yourself.
yeah. You're sleeping.
Um, um, he when he was first doing YouTube, he was at college, and he didn't have enough money, and I remember him saying that he would use his Photoshop skills to sell artwork,
Hmm.
and that's how he made his money. And eventually, when he got bigger, he kind of took that leap of faith, and he was like, "I'm gonna drop everything else and do this." There's so much uncertainty with doing that, and it's
Right,
insane. I don't know how people are able to do that, but
right.
he did it, and he's huge. Like
Yeah.
he's absolutely a monster.
I mean, and it's just to test, like Ninja has only been this big for maybe a year. PewDiePie has been
About a year.
PewDiePie for like,
For about 6 years, I'd say.
dude, like PewDiePie is amazing. Another person who's just incredible. Like I love these guys. But moving on, like kind of from that, the point is that like when you're going, like I suppose the point, there's a lot that we're kind of covering, but like college, everything isn't as linear anymore. Like yeah, we're using like these like
Yeah.
lottery winning examples, but I can name hundreds of streamers right now that are making probably more than the entry level job, probably more than my mom,
Than the
and aren't
average
really that and
medium
not really
salary.
that big,
Exactly.
and they're just doing it. They're just doing what they love. They like to play video games, interact with people, and they're just doing it. Like you can make a good a decent following or a decent amount of money depending on your following if you're just streaming or if you're doing YouTube or if you're if you're even making music. Like like all these like SoundCloud rappers, like a lot of people, they have like this negative stigma of them, but remember they're like 16, 18, 19, and they're up there, and you have to take a part of you has to really respect that. You know what I mean? Like you just have to, whether or not you think it's vulgar or silly or stupid. But a part of you has to respect like the entrepreneurship and just to go like the idea to go get it. Like they know, okay, that's a possibility, and they all just push for it. Now, I'm not telling you to go get a face tattoo and quit your job, whatever it is. I don't. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like the fact that those people really put themselves in a situation that they are making music on SoundCloud. Like one that I have a lot of respect for. Rest in peace, Lil Peep. Lil Peep, I think like a lot of his early works maybe it wasn't as good as his later works, but the fact that he moved to California, he was recording music there, and I think in an interview he was talking about how he couldn't mix or whatever. He got frustrated and he ended up going back home. But it was still one of those things where it's like that's somebody who, whenever one had the opportunity to move to freaking California, like I'm sure
Yeah.
you borrowed some cash, but he was someone who did it. You know what I mean? Like he went and he tried it and he he kept doing it, and maybe it got really difficult. Maybe it was, it was really like, tough. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but he was doing it, and eventually he blew up, and he, was able to live a lifestyle that he really wanted to live. And although his life came to an unfortunate end, that was somebody that you could probably have seen so much more from. So whatever kind of content you're creating, whether it be YouTube, whether it be music, that's something that I hope that like when we can all benefit from. Like I'm not just talking to the listeners, I'm talking to myself too. I'm one of those people who wants to content create, who wants to get out there, and even if this is like my first thing that I'm getting out there, this feels amazing. You know what I mean? Like it really does. Like I'm not trying like to, seem like somebody who's trying to change your life, but it's still like I'm just telling you like right now, the fact that I'm making this podcast, I wanted to do it for about 2 weeks, and the fact that I like, I just said, screw it, like I'm just gonna go do it. The fact that it's even happening right now is amazing. I love it. I love everything about it, and I just want to be able
Yeah,
to ensure that I can do stuff like this all the time. And
yeah,
I also just like talking. I like talking about stuff like this too, which is great. But for the most part, yeah, I think it's so important. Like looking at all these examples and kind of reflecting on them and seeing that anything is possible. You might not be ninja of your space. You might not be the best, the Bill Gates of your space, whatever it is, but you can be somewhere in between or somewhere a little bit lower and still be in your space making money. The fact that you can even make money playing video games is unreal. Like
yeah,
freak being a millionaire. If you can make
yeah,
$30,000 a year just playing games and like I know it is a difficult job. Streaming isn't something that's easy, but
yeah.
I'm talking
It's
about
very tiring.
like professional gaming, all that other stuff. The fact that you can even like make money just doing that. You can make money taking pictures on Instagram if you're a pretty girl or
Exactly.
a fit man. You know what I mean? Like you can do so
Yeah,
much now. Like the internet is
yeah,
like the internet's crazy, and I love it.
yeah.
I love all the
And
opportunity there
hopefully,
is.
like we continue to do this, we develop a community, and even if it's small, we continue to do this, and it becomes fun, enjoyable,
Yeah,
and
I mean it is already.
off some miracle that this becomes like an actual thing.
You're right.
Like, hey, that's great, but it's like
Well,
this
we're not
not
doing this
something
for
that.
money. Like
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly. This
expecting to
is
make a dime from any of this. It's just
yeah.
something that
I'm
I
not
like to
even really
do.
expecting to get like viewers for the
Yeah,
most part. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just
But
fun
hey,
though.
this is exactly. It's fun. It's something to talk about. Some way to convey feelings.
Hmm.
Somewhere that maybe even one person can sit and listen to. If you
Right,
like it, hey, you like it.
right,
It's
right.
something cool.
Hmm. One more thing that I actually did want to talk about in terms of college is like I mean, Sean is one of them, or he was one of them. Um, it's so weird for like some people. I know a lot of people are out there, and I don't have any like, answers or something, but it is something that I did want to consider so no one really like feels alone, I guess. It's like a lot of people are out there and they're like, okay, um, I want to go to college. I want to do this or not even do this. I don't know what I want to do. I want to go to college, but I'm not sure what I want to major in. A lot of people are undecided. They go to school for like a year, 2 years, whatever, and they're not sure what the heck they want to do. And they get into that point where it's like you need to know what you want to do. And I feel for those people because me, since 11th
Yeah,
grade, I realized what I wanted to do. It's like I want to entertain. I want to get people
yeah.
to a
That
reaction. Like,
that's kind of like me.
mm-hmm.
Um, I know what I want to do, but the thing is, what I want to do has so many wide ranges of things I can do
Oh yeah,
that it's like I feel overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. Like I want to be a teacher,
right.
but I kind of want to be a doctor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd love to be a doctor, but like a teacher is something that like on the fundamental base that I know I would love to do, but it's like there's also the currency thing.
Yeah,
It's like
currency. I mean, you can do tutoring as well. What
yeah,
exactly are you gonna
exactly.
teach? Are you
How
gonna?
many jobs am I gonna need if I want to do like teaching?
It's so
And then
crazy. All the things that, like, oh yeah, it's so much to consider, right? It is
yeah,
overwhelming. Like when you don't know what you want to do, you're kind of like not sitting around, but you're just thinking like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
like,
and maybe I want to go into kinesiology. Like that's another thing that I love to do, the human body, the way things move. Kinesiology being that I would like to go into physical therapy
yeah,
or personal training,
yeah.
etc.
I didn't know what that meant either, so don't feel bad if you
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. um, but yeah, uh, I think. we can leave off from that and up to the next thing. I think we kind of covered most of the things.
Yeah,
Actually, that went really well.
yeah, I
So
really
yeah,
did. I mean, as somebody who is very interested in like kind of like different avenues of life, in terms of college, I just want to like reiterate. I mean, hopefully it doesn't like come across as like, I'm trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying what I think is right. I'm just giving my opinion out there.
yes,
And
it's
remember, this is a conversation. I want if you're listening and you get to this point, first of
give
all,
your opinion. I
yeah,
earlier in the beginning I said this is not a thing for like people to like jump in. What I meant by that is I don't want this to be like maybe I make a comment on I don't know a political candidate or incumbent anything,
right,
and somebody's like, "You're wrong." Like I don't want that. I just want this to be a conversation in a way that I say, "Hey, I like this." Somebody goes, "Oh, I like this," or "I like that too." It's
right,
like this is where I'm at in my life, etc. I'd love to read that kind of stuff, put it down like in my notepad, and talk about it. Like I would absolutely love that. This is one of the like I love talking to people. I used to be one of the shyest people ever.
mm-hmm,
I like,
same.
especially because it's Halloween time. Uh, I have never gone trick or treating. I went trick or treating once
I haven't
in
done it, but
elementary
for
school.
religious reasons because my mom is
Yeah, yeah,
religious. But yeah, I
yeah.
haven't done it either.
I last time I went was in elementary school, and I went with one of my best friends, Trent,
Hmm.
and um, yeah, that was the last time. And I don't go because I'm shy. And even when I went with him, I didn't knock on any doors. That was not my. I just went with him. Like I was really shy. Uh, Moving to a new school was like a huge transition for me. I changed my mentality, changed the way, and I love presentations. I even though I'm shy, if I and that's kind of why I like being. I would love to be a teacher.
Yeah,
I
public
love to
speaking is
help
sick. Actually,
people,
I love it too.
and I exactly it's really enjoyable for me.
Hmm.
And this is something that like this podcast is something that I would love to do. Like this is one of those things where it's like just like the Jim Carrey quote, like try. There's no harm in not doing it.
Hmm.
People like it, they like it, and I don't know. This allows me to kind of be like an extrovert, reach out, talk to people, and
Right.
yeah, in some way reach them. I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that
Yeah.
random cut. Something has come up, but around the end of the podcast, we have like an entertainment section. I am a film major, so I do want to talk about movies and stuff.
And
And
I am a huge fan of movies and
hmm
any form of art, anything that pass my time. Like I said
yeah,
earlier in my introduction.
right.
So yeah, you take it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna just be kind of talking about movies, anime, whatever it is. I know some people aren't really interested in anime. Maybe you don't really want to talk
Or like
about it.
inverted to like
Yeah,
don't
just
not interested. Maybe it's too cartoony, etc.
whatever it is. If you should give it like I'm not gonna talk about it as if you watched it. I will be talking about it, just from a perspective
In a
and
way to an invite.
yeah,
But we would
yeah,
like a lot because it is a sanctuary. All right, that's gonna be our brand, I guess. The kind
yeah,
of thing we want to convey is we want everybody to kind of have an open mind, be willing to try new things. That was
right,
kind of the purpose of the whole motivation, and the like all the other topics in between that. Kind of try something new. You know,
yeah.
we are in a position in our lives where we're trying new stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot
It's
of
like
new
a
stuff.
huge transition year for us. It's and we would kind of not necessarily like everybody to do the same, but consider
Yeah, for sure. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter. But yeah, for now,
it.
we kind of have to abruptly end the show. Um,
Apologies.
yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments and your suggestions. The Discord invite will be below. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you got
Thank
this
you all.
far, yep. Have a
Which future reference,
yeah,
we want to try to do this once a week. If it
yeah,
does not, we will try to give you guys updates on
yeah.
why it's not. But everything we're trying to do at least once a week.
Yeah, at the very least.
So
So you can
look
expect,
forward.
yeah,
Yes,
you can even expect more. But for the most part, once a week is like the quota that we will try our best
we
to
will
meet.
try to meet, especially while everything's happening. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Good night and good
Good night,
morning and good afternoon or whenever. Bye
depending
bye.
whenever you're
Yeah. Bye.